we need to act, and we need to act now. And A for us stands for access, and it's access to technology and connectivity. And we do that by expanding our network to reach more communities in the country. C stands for content, by helping make available and providing access to relevant, accurate, and timely data. And T stands for training, by building the capabilities of our stakeholders on ICT to empower them to maximize the use of technology to achieve their goals.
The first one we've been discussing this. It's the supply chain challenges between the growers and the consumers. So we see that imbalance across our consumption system, where farmers are growing, and the first question in their mind is, how can I sell this? How can I bring this to market? In a nation of 100 million mouths to feed, that shouldn't be a problem that the farmers are worried about. The question is getting the food from the farmer to the mouth, from the farm to the table. And that's good. That's the ongoing challenge that these farmers face, because they don't know from a security standpoint whether they're going to turn a profit every time they do a harvest. Connected to that also is access to capital. So from a farmer perspective, unlike other industrialized countries, when the farmer goes out and they have to borrow in order to plant, one, there's inherent risk already because of how we've been experiencing climate change and our natural disasters. So our farmers at that point in time, they're balancing on a knife's edge. Talagang nagtatayang buhay yung mga farmers natin. So they need to manage that. So access to capital is very, very important. The other thing I would say is, from a financial product standpoint, having a cost-effective way for farmers to get access to insurance as well has been a challenge for the agriculture industry. We're talking about the small farmers. So if you're talking about the small farmers, access to capital, access to some kind of insurance for them, where they will at least be sure that they can have, ideally, some puhunan for the next farming cycle if something happens to them, and then be able to get their goods to the market. There's enough demand in the 100 million Filipinos that need to eat. The food that they produce, the vegetables, the produce that they produce are excellent. So getting those two solved, that's been a recurring challenge, and that needs to be solved by legislation. It needs to be solved by investment in the right infrastructure. It needs to be supplemented with the right digital systems in place so that our demand signals and that conversation, that gap between the consumer and the grower can be shortened as well.
Definitely. In the past, we've had, the agriculture sector has contributed about approximately 10% of GDP. But we've only appropriated, a budget of, for 2021, it was 1.6% of the budget. So you're looking at a very huge gap in terms of what we're expecting from the industry and what kind of support we're giving to the industry. And so we definitely need to narrow that gap in terms of support for the sector, for the industry. And I would really say that we have to be innovative in the sense that the budget will not be polarized to specific crops only, that we've seen very dismal successes. We've been a country that has allocated a lot of budget on rice, but we have overlooked the other crops that we're good at producing, that we're good at exporting. And I think it's time for us to look at these other crops and support those communities that produce these. And so, of course, definitely an increase in the budget for the industry to boost further the contribution of the sector to the GDP. And of course, really, at the ground level, we have to look at how it's going to impact the farming and fishing communities so that they really feel that it's not just a figure of GDP, but it's really how much has changed in their daily lives.
I think the pandemic puts health at the front and center of everybody's top concerns. And for a while, it will be a sustainable thing. I guess all of us realize that without health, everything else is zero. So um, from what I observe, the trends globally, there's really a shift in terms of priorities in the first world countries and the first world cities. People are trying to embrace plant-based diet, right? So that's a very good sign. And in terms of the budget, the spending habit, I think more and more priority are being allocated for basic necessities and more healthier alternatives.